My name is Ryan Snow, and for the past almost 5 years now, I've been in the gym undergoing an aesthetic body transformation. When I first began, I was a scrawny 17-year-old kid that weighed 135 pounds, was basically skin and bones. I literally looked anorexic and had basically no dating life or friends that respected me. And by the end, I had built a lean V-taper physique that got me the dating life I wanted, the respect I wanted from other people, and improved my life overall. And this channel is about helping beginners that started where I started along the same journey. So today, I've just kind of put together sort of a Q&A video with some advice for beginners that are interested in getting an aesthetic physique. Question number one is, what is the best split for beginners? In my opinion, the best possible split for beginners in the gym is push-pull legs or another 3-day split. Push-pull legs is nice because A, it's a 3-day split that you can do 6 days per week, so it makes sure that you're in the gym at least 6 days a week. And it prioritizes all of the muscle groups required to get like a V-taper aesthetic physique, right? It prioritizes upper body. It kind of almost gets you the V-taper physique automatically without too much thinking because of just the way that the split is organized. If you don't want to do push-pull legs, another 3-day split will work. An example is something that I tried for a little while, which was I had an arm day, so shoulders and arms on one day, and then chest, back, and core on another day, and then the third day was legs, right? But a 3-day split is the best thing for beginners because it can be repeated and then done for at least 6 days a week, right? So Monday push, Tuesday pull, Wednesday legs, Thursday push, Friday pull, Saturday legs. The best thing about it being a 6-day a week routine and not like a 5-day a week or 4-day a week routine is almost every single day you are inside the gym. And so for beginners, consistency is almost always the most important thing, right? Kind of getting into that consistent rhythm and pattern so that you stay for the long run. You get used to going to the gym every single day. And so for beginners, I'll always say that going 6 or 7 days a week is better than going anything less because genuinely just because of kind of the habit building quality of that routine, right? When you go 6 days a week, when you start off with 6 days a week at least, naturally the neuroplasticity in your brain, which is basically like the habit building quality of your brain, right? It builds like different pathways to make behaviors more and more automatic. The more you do something, so if you do it 6 days a week as opposed to 4, right, or 3 days a week, the more automatic it becomes. And so getting on a 6-day a week routine for beginners is awesome because that ensures that if you follow it for, a few weeks, the pathways in your brain are going to be set. It's going to be more and more automatic, and it's going to be super easy down the road to stay in the gym. Regardless of exactly what muscles you work every single day. Question number two is, how long will it take to actually look different? 3 weeks is when you see your first strength gains. 3 months is when you see your first physical changes. And then about a year is when you kind of have your first like physique difference, right? So at 3 weeks, you first begin getting newbie changes. You first start seeing strength changes and your muscles get like a little bit more defined. You haven't changed in appearance all that much, but you're stronger. After 3 months, you'll actually begin to notice your muscles growing way more and you begin to actually see differences, right? If you're paying attention and you're taking progress pictures so that you can track your changes. At about a year, it'll go above and beyond just minor muscle differences. So it'll be not just, okay, my biceps look bigger. My shoulders look a little bit bigger, right? One muscle looks bigger. It'll be more like you notice your frame start to change and your physique actually as a whole begins to change, right? You won't necessarily be happy with it at just 1 year. A lot of times it takes years and years and years to build out a physique that you actually like, right? Like a genuine aesthetic physique. But you'll be pretty excited and proud of yourself when you see changes at the 1 year mark, right? That's when kind of your physique as a whole begins to change. By the way, it's extremely important during this period to take progress pictures so that you can track your changes, right? When you look at yourself in the mirror, your brain cannot compare the present you to, old you, because it doesn't really remember that far back. It can only compare the present you to the most recent version that it saw of you, which is you in the mirror yesterday, right? And you're not going to notice any differences from that. So you need to be taking progress pictures weekly is a good way to take progress pictures so that you can add them to an album called progress pictures, and you can flip through them and you can actually see the differences in your physique, right? I think there's a danger of kind of doing a bunch of work in the gym and not noticing any of the results because you're not taking progress pictures. And then you can get kind of discouraged, right? Because you don't notice any differences even though you've been pushing hard and you actually are making progress. If you can't see the progress, that's quite discouraging, right? So make sure that you take progress pictures, because nothing will feel worse than if you get to the 1 year mark and you actually do look different, but you can't tell because you haven't been taking progress pictures. Make sure you take progress pictures. Question number 3 is, do I need to bulk or cut first? Almost everyone needs to bulk up first. Here's why. Unless you're very, very overweight, and cutting down is clearly the right option, like you definitely should not bulk, right? And you'll know if this is the case. If that is the case, then go on like a pretty gradual cut. You don't want to go too intense, but definitely one that helps you to lose weight. So go into a calorie deficit. But for most people, either like the really skinny guys or the skinny fat guys, you should be going on a bulk. The reason is because a lot of your physique, how can I best explain this? Uninformed people that are not in the gym think that most of appearances is kind of like how lean you are, right? These are the people that they're not in the gym, they don't know that much about like muscle mass and stuff like this. And they hear a lot about diet, right? From like commercials and shit. And so they think that, okay, looking attractive correlates with being lean, right? And so they think that just being like skinny is the goal, but it's not the goal. The people with the best physiques are people that are big, physically big, not just have big muscles, but they are physically big people, right? And when you begin getting muscle definition, right? You go to the gym, you begin working out, getting muscle definition. This happened to me, right? So I was lean, I got shredded. The biggest constraint to my physique was size. After you have the kind of base muscle definition where you can see most of your muscles on your body, the next step is increasing the weight on the scale. The next step is weighing more. Even if you think, I just want to be lean, be shredded, and see my muscles, down the road, your physique will be better if you bulk up. You need to be bulking up, overfeeding, putting nutrients into those muscles so that you can grow your physique better and better and better. And then eventually, when you hit a weight that you like, you can cut down, be lean, and have an even better physique. You should be bulking up. The only exception, as I said, is if you're extremely overweight. Then you can go on a cut if you're like, okay, I clearly need to be much leaner before I can even like consider like having a decent physique, right? In that case, you can go on a cut, but I would not go on a heavy cut if you are under 18. The reason is because you're growing, right? And you need nutrients. If you deprive the body of nutrients as you're going through puberty and you're growing and stuff like that, that could lead to problems down the road. So don't do that. Question number 4 is, what supplements are worth it and which are BS? The 3 supplements that I know are worth it are whey protein powder, creatine, and pre-workout. All of the other supplements, I don't really think are, I don't think they either work or I don't think they're as effective as people say that they are. Whey protein powder is a fantastic supplement for convenient protein, right? It's just very easy to get a ton of protein in if you take protein powder. It has all 9 essential amino acids, which, if you don't know what amino acids are, it's basically just like what your body gets from protein in order to repair your muscles, right? It has all 9 essential ones, which is different from pea or, like other like different plant-based kind of protein powders. Whey protein powder is the best in that sense, but it's just a fantastic, awesome, convenient way to get a ton of protein. It's not necessary, but it's definitely worth it, right? Creatine is a compound found in diet, normally in places like red meat, right? But you can supplement with it. What it does is it puts more water into your muscles, making the size of the water stores bigger and increasing the strength and power output of your muscles in the gym, right? So it makes you look bigger instantly without like any additional training, right? But also it makes you stronger. So during the time you take creatine, you will be stronger, push more weight, and your muscles will grow faster. And so you'll actually make not just temporary, aesthetic, like visual improvements in your physique, but you'll accelerate your actual gains in the gym if you take creatine. So it's awesome. I'm supplementing with it right now. Again, not necessary, but it is pretty nice to have. And then pre-workout doesn't really have any permanent effects, but I found it just makes working out really fun. I enjoy taking pre-workout. I enjoy the stimulation. I enjoy the endurance compounds that they put in it, stuff like this. It just makes, for me, it makes it fun. It's the same deal as like having a good playlist when you go into the gym. It makes the experience really fun. None of them are necessary. I don't think any supplements are necessary to achieve an aesthetic physique, but those three I think are the best ones. All other supplements I don't really think are worth it or do that much. A lot of people like to talk about other ones and like sell them and stuff like this. I've never found that, and I haven't tried all of them, so I don't know. I've never found that any of them have like a real effect. Like if you want like the best supplements, the 80%, the 20% of supplements that contribute to 80% of the results, that's Pareto's law. Those three are the best ones. Question number 5 is, how do I know if I'm overtraining or just sore? So a lot of people won't tell you this, but as a beginner, it's actually very, very difficult for you to overtrain. When you are a beginner, a lot of times your body will protest all the working out you're doing, making it feel like you're doing too much, when in reality, you're not even pushing the body close to its natural limit, right? I would not worry about overtraining actually at all if you're a beginner. Just train as hard as you can and make sure that you are eating well and sleeping well. Someone once told me there's no such thing as overtraining, just undereating and undersleeping. And that is very, very true, right? Make sure your recovery is spot on. That doesn't mean like, oh, I'm overtraining, I need to take a break from the gym. That means make sure you're eating well, Make sure you're eating tons of protein, tons of carbohydrates, make sure you're drinking lots of water, and make sure you're sleeping well. Make sure you're getting tons of sleep every single night so your body can actually repair the muscles, because that's when muscle repair happens, is during sleep. That's the body's healing and repair process, right? And so I think we can kind of get obsessed with this like overtraining thing. Like, oh, am I training too much? People like to talk about overtraining when they want to give like, they want to sound smart and they want to give advice. And they know that overtraining will be received well by people. It'll be like, oh yeah, maybe I'm overtraining. We have an undertraining epidemic, not an overtraining one. The amount of people that are overtraining is so little. Let me tell you what overtraining is. Overtraining is like what bodybuilders, legitimate competition bodybuilders, are at risk of doing. The human body is incredible. You can push it to absolutely insane limits. Legitimate competition bodybuilders, if they're, for example, training for like tons of hours a day, like 3 times a day for 7 days a week, that's overtraining. If you're going once per day, 7 days a week, that's not overtraining. You are not in danger of overtraining. What you are in danger of is not sleeping enough, not eating right. Okay? One thing I will say is I think it's good every once in a while. I haven't really experimented with this too much, to reset the nervous system for like a week, which means basically don't go to the gym for a week every single 8 weeks, something like that, right? I've heard this a little bit, but I haven't researched it in depth. But I think there's something to resetting the nervous system in that way. But honestly, if I'm being honest with you, every 8 weeks or so, I end up getting like sick or I have to miss because I'm on a trip or something like that. So I've never even really thought about it. Like, if you think about it, if you're going that long, ordinarily there's something that gets thrown in there that forces you to miss like 5 to 7 days of the gym normally, right? So I've never really thought about it that much. I will say I do like having 1 day off per week, right? If I go 7 days per week, I do feel like that's a bit, probably not overtraining, but I'm pushing myself pretty hard, and I would just rather do like 6 days per week because when after I have that rest day, I feel better. I go into the week more energized, more excited for the gym as well, right? Because I had that day off where I missed the gym, and so I do enjoy taking 1 day off per week. So, but I would say like don't worry about overtraining specifically. Just train according to like instinct, if that makes sense. And most of your guys' instinct will say, yeah, I can train 6 days per week for 1 to 2 hour sessions every single day. Not a big deal. Do I want a rest day every week? Do I want whatever? Do I want to do 6 days, 7 days a week? You'll know, like, according to you, what's best. So, but don't worry about overtraining. Overtraining is something people like to talk about as like, but honestly, it's just kind of like an excuse to not train as hard. You could be pushing yourself way harder. If you got any value from this video, there's something that you can do, which is a win-win for both of us, which is to scroll down and click the subscribe button. I win because I get a new subscriber. You win because anytime I have a new insight, learn something new, or try something new, I can make a video and directly give you value. If you are more interested in building an aesthetic physique, if you're serious about it and you're willing to invest in yourself, the top link in the description is my full program. That is all 4 to 5 years of my Lift for Knowledge put into a single course. It's very heavy, very dense, very information packed. It's not something that I could possibly fit into any one of these YouTube videos. So it's not like, kind of this like easily digestible format. It's like just raw information, several hours of it, raw value. You should click that link and you should watch the attached video on the page to see what it's about and see if it's for you. Because if it is for you, you'll be missing out by not checking it out. Either way, have an amazing day. Bye.